The curse did not wait long to show its teeth. Days after the wedding feast, whispers of misfortune turned into cries of terror. One by one, Chief Anene's household began to fall under a shadow darker than night. It began with his youngest son, a boy full of laughter and mischief. One evening, as he played in the courtyard, he suddenly staggered, his small chest heaving. A cough racked his body, then another, until blood spilled from his lips. His eyes rolled back, and before anyone could reach him, he collapsed lifeless upon the red earth. The women wailed. Neighbors gathered, hands on their heads. But when they looked to Chief Anini, he roared above their sorrow. Silence! It is sickness, nothing more. Do not question the will of the gods. Yet in the stillness of night, the truth grew harder to ignore. Not long after, one of Anene's wives screamed in terror. Her voice pierced the compound, dragging people from their huts. They found her trembling, pointing to the doorway of her room. Blood had been smeared across the threshold, and she swore she had seen it, a shadow, red as fresh blood, slipping into her chamber. Her eyes were wild, her body shaking. But again, Anine silenced her with his fury. You speak lies. The gods honor me. Hold your tongue, woman. But the household trembled. Children huddled together, too afraid to sleep. Servants whispered of footsteps in empty rooms, of shadows moving without form. And always, always, blood appeared at the doors. For Oma, the terror was worse still. Each night her dreams became prisons. She saw the stranger, her groom of shadows, standing before her, his eyes glowing, his lips curling into a cruel smile. His voice slid into her ears like smoke. You are mine, Oma. The bride price is not yet complete. She would wake drenched in sweat, her heart pounding, the whisper still echoing in her mind. She prayed at her mother's shrine. She tied charms around her waist, but nothing silenced the spirit's voice. At last, in desperation, Oma sought the elders. She knelt before them in the village square, tears streaking her face. Fathers of Umwaka, I beg you, something walks in my father's house. My family is dying, and I see shadows in my sleep. Help me before it is too late. The elders, gray with wisdom, exchanged troubled looks. Elder Okori's voice was heavy as he spoke. Child, we have warned your father. Greed opens doors that wisdom cannot close. Only he can tell us what covenant binds your house. But before their words could reach the people, Chief Anene stormed into the square. His voice thundered, his eyes burning with anger. Enough! You dare shame me before the elders? You dare spread lies in my name? He dragged Oma back to his compound, forbidding her to speak further. For in his heart he knew the truth, that the blood of his household was the price of his pride. But pride chained his tongue, and greed blinded his eyes. And so the curse continued, dripping its poison into every corner of his home. Shadows lengthened, blood marked the doors, and Oma's spirit sank deeper into fear, knowing the stranger would not rest until his bride was fully claimed. The weight of silence pressed down on Oma until she could bear it no longer. Each death, each whispering shadow, each crimson stain at the threshold of their home was a drumbeat of doom. And in her chest, courage began to grow, not the quiet courage of patience, but the fire of revolt. One night, while the moon bathed the compound in pale light, Oma rose from her mat. Her steps were steady as she entered her father's chamber. Chief Anine sat alone, his once proud shoulders hunched, his eyes hollow from sleepless nights. Her voice was sharp, slicing through the silence. Father, what price did you pay? What curse have you placed on us? Chief Anene froze. For a long moment, he said nothing. His hands trembled, clutching his staff. The firelight revealed sweat on his brow. But his pride held fast. He turned his face away, voice heavy with denial. You know nothing of what you speak. Go back to your bed, child. Oma's eyes burned with tears, but her spirit did not waver. Do not lie to me. Blood stains our doorsteps, shadows haunt my sleep. Even the elders say greed opens doors that wisdom cannot close. Father, what have you done? But the chief's lips sealed like iron. His silence was its own confession. Oma left his chamber with her heart pounding, her spirit heavy, yet more determined than ever. She knew she could not fight shadows with silence. She needed wisdom older than fear. And so she went, barefoot through the night, guided only by moonlight, until she reached the outskirts of the village, where the forest whispered. There, in a small hut smelling of herbs and smoke, lived Mama Ajeoma, the old seer feared by some, revered by others. Oma fell to her knees as the door creaked open. The seer's eyes, clouded with age yet piercing with unseen sight, rested upon her. Daughter of Anine, I have been waiting for you. Oma's lips trembled as words poured out. Mother, my house is dying. Shadows walk among us. Tell me, what binds us to this curse? Mama Agioma's voice was like the rustle of ancient leaves. Your father sold your blood to a spirit of shadows. The gifts he received were not of men, but of darkness. And now the spirit comes to claim what was promised. Oma gasped, pressing her hands to her chest. My blood? My life? The seer nodded slowly. Only sacrifice can break the bond, not of goats or yams, nor of gold or ivory. Blood for blood. The covenant demands it. Oma wept. Her sobs filled the small hut, shaking with the weight of destiny. She was both the victim and the key, the promise and the offering. The spirit wanted her, and to deny him meant more death, more shadows, more rivers of blood. Yet in her sorrow, fire stirred. She lifted her face, tears glistening. If I must be the sacrifice, then I will not go like a lamb to slaughter. I will fight. I will end this curse, even if it costs me everything. Mama Ijeoma studied her, the faintest smile touching her lips. Your courage is your weapon. Remember, child, even shadows fear a flame. Oma rose, her tears drying into resolve. The path ahead was cruel, but her spirit had chosen. She would no longer run, no longer weep, no longer wait for death to come. She would confront the curse head on. And in that decision, the daughter of Anane became more than a victim. She became the revolt, the spark of resistance against a darkness born of greed. The night of reckoning arrived. A stillness hung over Umwaka, heavy and unnatural. The wind refused to blow, the owls refused to call. Even the leaves of the palm trees stood frozen, as though the earth itself feared what was to come. Inside her hut, Oma prepared. The flame of a single oil lamp flickered against the mud walls, painting her face in shifting shadows. She dipped her fingers into a calabash of chalk and drew symbols of protection across her brow, her chest, and her arms. Each stroke was deliberate, each mark a prayer. She tied palm fronds around her waist and wrists, the ancient sign of cleansing, and lifted the blade her friend Ene had hidden away for her. Its edge glimmered faintly in the lamplight, not just as a weapon, but as a promise. She whispered to herself, her voice steady. If blood is demanded, then let mine speak louder than the shadows. With those words, Oma stepped into the night. The forest awaited. The path was thick with mist, and the trees groaned as though burdened by unseen spirits. Fireflies glowed dimly, guiding her steps like mournful stars. The shrine loomed ahead, an altar of stone wrapped in vines, drenched in moonlight that seemed too pale, too cold. And there he was. The groom no longer wore the face of man. His white robes had dissolved into shadows, his features warped and hollow. His eyes burned red, deep as coals from a dying fire. Around him swirled the spirits of the dead, men, women, children, faces twisted in sorrow, their whispers filling the air like the buzzing of flies. His voice slithered through the shrine. Come, bride, fulfill the covenant of blood. You were promised to me. Your father's greed is my bond, and your life is my payment. Oma's heart pounded, yet her steps did not falter. She stood at the edge of the shrine, blade in hand, eyes lifted to meet his. You will not own me, she whispered. I will not bow. The spirit roared, shaking the earth. Shadows writhed like serpents, reaching toward her. And then another figure stumbled into the shrine. Chief Anani. His wrapper was torn, his eyes wild with fear. He threw himself between Oma and the spirit, his voice breaking. No, not my daughter. Spirit, take me instead. Take my blood. The spirit's laughter cracked like thunder. Anene, your blood will be the first. The pride that fed me must be quenched by the blood that birthed it. Shadows leapt, wrapping around him like chains. Chief Anene screamed, his body convulsing as the darkness dragged him down. His voice echoed through the trees, a cry of both terror and regret. Oma's tears burned, but she did not hesitate. She raised the blade high, her voice ringing above the storm now breaking overhead. O gods of my fathers and mothers, hear me! If blood is the price, let mine end this curse. She slashed her palm, and her blood spilled onto the earth. It glowed under the moonlight, bright against the darkness. At once, thunder roared across the heavens. Lightning split the sky. The spirits of the dead wailed as though released from a long captivity. The groom shrieked, his form unraveling like smoke torn apart by wind. No, the blood is mine, the bride is mine. But Oma's voice rose, strong and unyielding. My blood belongs to the gods, not to you. The shrine shook. The ground split. The spirit's red eyes flickered, dimmed, then vanished as his shadowy form dissolved into nothingness. The storm raged for a final moment, then silence fell. The forest sighed as if a great weight had been lifted. The covenant was broken. Oma collapsed to her knees, her palm bleeding, her breath ragged. Before her, the lifeless body of her father lay in the dirt, his pride, his greed, his downfall. And Oma, though weak and trembling, remained. Not as a victim, not as a prize of shadows, but as the flame that survived the darkness. The first light of dawn crept slowly over Mwaka. The mist lifted from the fields, and the cocks crowed, unaware of the horror the night had buried in the forest. Near the shrine, the villagers found her. Oma lay unconscious on the ground, her body pale, her palm still bleeding. Yet she breathed, weakly, but alive. Beside her, Chief Ani's lifeless form sprawled across the earth, his chest hollow, his body drained of blood. His once proud face was twisted in anguish, frozen in the terror of his final moments. The shrine itself was shattered. Stones lay broken, vines torn from the earth, and the air that once choked with shadows was now eerily clear. Only faint bloodstains remained in the soil, already sinking into the ground as if the forest itself was eager to forget. The villagers gathered in silence. Mothers held their children close. Elders shook their heads, their gray beards wet with tears. Whispers moved through the crowd like restless wind. The gods despise greed. The pride of Anene has cursed his house. The bride price of blood will never be forgotten. Oma awoke in their arms, her eyes dazed, her body trembling with exhaustion. But when she spoke, her voice carried a calm authority, as though touched by something beyond the mortal world. My father's pride brought this curse. Let all of Umwaka learn. The bride price is not gold, nor goats, nor blood. It is love. Without love, marriage is a grave, not a union. Her words struck deep. From that day, no man in Umuaka measured a woman's worth by riches, and no father weighed his daughter's hand against his own pride. Oma never married. She bore no husband's name, nor child's cry in her hut. Instead, she became a priestess, guardian of the shrine's ruins, voice of warning to the young, and living reminder of the night shadows almost devoured her people. Children grew up hearing her words at every festival. Let love be your offering. Let humility be your bride price. For greed invites only the hunger of spirits. The years passed, but the story endured. Mothers whispered it to daughters, fathers to sons, and travelers carried it to distant villages. And always it ended the same way, with the memory of the maiden who spilled her own blood to save her people. The final image was the forest shrine itself, abandoned, broken, its stones covered in moss, its altar crumbled. Only the faint stains of blood remained, fading deeper into the soil, feeding the earth, becoming part of the land's eternal memory. And the people of Umuaka knew the curse was gone, but the lesson would live forever. Please subscribe, comment your interest for the next part, like, share, and tap the notification button to get notified for more. Thanks for watching.